I just wanted to say this. Listen, all respect to everything, to whatever people believe, but the fact is that everything that man has learned is from another man, another human, which means that everything that we know is from somebody else. And
I haven't learned
I'm gonna
shit
tell you
from Mr.
something.
Solutions,
What you have
that's for
said,
sure.
this brother, I gotta agree with you on one thing that you said. We agree on some things and disagree. I'm talking about all facts, and that's all good. I got respect for you. You said one thing that was real important yesterday. No man is higher than another, right? And I do
believe
the
white
that
man
to a
over
certain
black.
extent. Now, listen. The reason why I say that is because
that's
you believe in something that's coming from another man.
Right
Sir,
there,
you interrupted me. I just came on. All I wanted to say is that the fact is that the human man learns everything from another man, right? And then we all go back to the Bible, books, and all this, which is all written by a human being.
No,
you describing God like you have seen what God is.
God
We do not know what God is.
the dark. So
listen,
therefore,
brother,
the white
listen,
man
there's
is divided
negative
from
and
the black
good.
man.
Listen, everything
That's
has
why
negative and
slavery
positive. You
took
said that the devil.
Can I bring some clarity to the issue right there?
You said something about the devil.
Seem to be digressing, right? We all have a piece to the puzzle, right? I was trying to give you an example where we can all reflect and see things.
Black people just have a really small piece of the puzzle.
We all know the creation from the creation story from the Christian point of view, but have we looked at it from other people's
there we go.
For example, I'll give you a creation story from an Abrahamic religion, but in reference to the role of the devil and humanity, it'll be different. For example, God made angels from pure light, and they cannot go against God's will.
How do you say that? How you
He created. I'm giving you this is not Nicaragua. See. I have no.
Brother, my bad. Go ahead.
Right. I'm not getting emotional about the situation because it's mechanic work. Okay, right. He created angels from pure light. He created what they call these people jinns from smokeless fire, which is what anger, aggression, that wickedness that the brother Mr. Solutions was talking about, right?
Yeah, all the aggression.
He created man. He created man from clay.
They are the criminals.
Right?
They are the ones.
But when he ordered all the creations to bow before man, everybody bowed except the devil, right?
This country does not have a gun problem.
The devil said he would not bow to an inferior creation because he was created from a smokeless fire. God then damned and condemned him. But you know what these people said the devil did? He begged for respite until Judgment Day, which means that nothing will come of harm to the devil during Judgment Day. And when Judgment Day comes, even the devil himself will come before God. And when he comes before God, he will say, I didn't mislead these people. They made their own choice, acknowledging the higher power of God.
So you're saying you chose to be a nigger?
I don't even think I was even addressing you, but I wanted to ask the other brother speaking in the background. He says that this country doesn't have a gun problem. I heard him saying that. Is that correct, brother?
No, this country does not have a gun problem. It has a nigger problem.
A nigger
well, I just want to ask.
So that's not true because let's be real. After President Obama became president, whites started buying up guns. Why are they killing
I want to stick on the religion,
only
guys.
patriots left in America.
White
Americans have allowed Europeans to come over here and have their children here and lobby and be in political power positions where they are now cast out.
Okay, listen. Hey, gentlemen. Hey, sir, excuse me, sir. You spoke about, sir, you gave a story. I want to go to that story, that wonderful story that someone told. I say, where did that come from, sir? That story that you told us about the devil.
The Islamic section of
Okay.
Also this the Islamic class.
So what are you telling me then? When you tell me, I ask you, where did that come from? I ask you again. You said it comes from the latter section. I ask you again, where did it come from again? And you giving me a group of people that came to this. It comes from his mind. It's a fact.
Right.
Now, I'm gonna ask you.
Right.
So I'm gonna ask you. Can you even describe God yourself?
Yeah, he looks like Morgan Freeman.
He's a male deity.
Now, you said that right. Now, you said.
I just put everybody on hold because everybody go to your corner, get to your corner, man, take your drink of water and then spit it in a little bucket. Everybody needs to settle down. This is not the way we do business here on the show. We're not going to all start. This isn't Perry's show. I mean, I love Perry, but this isn't Perry's show. We're not going to all scream at each other. So we're going to start over again with, we've got me and Mr. Solution unmuted right now, and I will unmute, let me see, I will unmute one guy at a time here because it's turning into what I call a clusterfuck. I mean, I'm sorry. I was just raised by a Marine. But let's get control of this. And I think we're absolutely showing what happened and the reason that God pulled the plug on this deal, to say, to put it, no pun intended. But in Genesis chapter 6, verse 6, it's verse 5, it says, the Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was evil. I mean, it was one big, party. And there's no telling what was going on, probably all kinds of wild stuff. And as far as putting all the animals on the ark, that was a big, big ark. That sucker was huge. And animals have progressed over the years. Most dogs were, quote unquote, invented throughout the 16th and the 17th century, if my memory serves me right. They began to create all these different breeds. We started out with just the hound and the jackal. And so maybe there wasn't 15,000 million species of animals the way they were. I mean, I'm sure it was very basic earth. So I don't have any doubt in my mind that this guy couldn't have built this huge boat. I mean, it took him a long, long, long time. I mean, it was something like a year or two or more. I'm not sure. So I can understand why it says, the Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and he decided, screw it. I'm just going to wipe them off the face of the earth. Boom. And he caused it to start raining, and he flooded the whole thing. I mean, you have to realize there wasn't a lot of housing and stuff back then. There wasn't the United States. There wasn't this, that, and the other. There was just you know what I mean? I mean, it was like, it's very believable if you look at it. Some people say that some people have found evidence of the ark. I know they have found skeletons of the Nephilim. I never can get that word right. The Nephilim. They found huge. I sure hope I'm unmuted. Am I unmuted, Mr. Solution? I'm over here at I'm over here at BibleGateway.com. But I just want everybody to, let's don't turn this into a slugfest and fussing at each other and stuff. I don't like that. So, Mr. Solution, you are unmuted, and we are live at Spreaker.com. And I need to say this because I only scheduled a 2-hour show because I backed my account off a BTR. I took it down a notch. So I don't have the 3 hours live anymore. I have 3 hours, but one of them is an archive. So when we go off here, which will be in 14 minutes and 38 seconds and counting, you can hear us live over at the Spreaker.com, and I think that somebody in the chat room probably has that link. So having said that, everybody's on the board. I still see you there. I'd be happy to unmute you, but I'm going to do this one at a time, I think. 215, you're unmuted.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Is this you, Jay?
Yeah, this is Jay.
All right. Did you have something to say without everybody interrupting you while I prepare to go to the next part of Genesis?
Yeah, well, I was actually just listening, and I just want to comment on what the brother, he was talking about the polarities when he was giving. He just wanted to give you another interpretation of the creation story to kind of bring more clarity to the subject at hand.
And which one was that? Was that Michael? Was that Michael?
Yeah, Mekara, I think his name was, something like that. But
okay, I think that's okay.
As far as with the ark, I think that it would be kind of, I think it's we looking at it from a literal standpoint. don't want to offend nobody, but it's like, you know, to a very animal on a boat. Come on. You want to have a lion on there that eats other animals? I mean, you mean to tell me you had lions, you had an alligator on there?
No. No. How do you do a zoo? To me, it's a floating zoo. You've got the lions over here. They're in cages. They're fine. Then you've got them separated. The cats are not going to stay.
So what was the lion eating?
Well, that's what he told him. He told him to store food. And the lion is obviously a meat eater, so I would assume he went out and killed a bunch of bison or whatever they're called, cows or whatever.
They say that in the Bible?
No, you have to presume.
But that's
you also have to presume that these. Now listen, stop. Wait. You have to presume that these. Listen to me.
Yeah.
You also have to listen. You have to presume that these people had bowel movements. Of course, it doesn't say that in the Bible, but they did. I mean, you have to presume that the woman had menstrual cycles, of course, but they don't say that in the Bible. I mean, they're not going to say every little teeny-weeny thing. It's a book. In the book of my biography, my autobiography, it's not going to have every detail in there. You're just going to have to presume that when I went to Girl Scouts that I went camping. So,
and then
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's the problem when you're dealing with, you're trying to interpret it. So you got to do a lot of presuming. And that's the issue. You got to do a lot of presuming because the story isn't clear if you're going to take it literal.
Sir, I think that to presume that God, okay, I heard your statement, now I'm going to statement back. To presume that God would allow an animal on the ark and not be fed is a little bit hideous in my personal belief. Of course he's going to have...
I'm not presuming that. I'm presuming that it wasn't never no ark to begin with.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but then you're calling God a liar.
Well, I'm not calling God a liar.
Miss Host, because you guys seem to be going back down that path. I want to bring up what Mr. Solutions was saying when he was bringing up how God talks in metaphors and things. Some things are meant to be interpreted literally and things aren't. How would it look for a group of people who are trying to assert their faith with God after God told the story of the ark story, right? Regardless of there was an ark, regardless if the animals all were there, regardless if they found archaeological evidence, what is the moral of the story?
Right.
Noah had to humble himself to save himself. And the best way to save himself was to what? Save his fellow creation. Teaching man what? You are not the only person on this planet. So by doing that, just take it for a deeper meaning, right? Noah learns how to...
Hey, 909, hang on. Now, I am the host, and this is my little deal here, so I do get to speak without being interrupted. And, yes, there was an ark, and no, he didn't do it to save his ass, and no, there wasn't anybody else saved. They all drowned. They all perished because they were all evil pieces of crap.
My apologies. I didn't mean it in that context. I'm saying, by you saying that there really was an ark, does that really put a stamp of approval in your faith? If you don't understand why the story was made?
And you're welcome to do a show and teach the Bible.
No, I'm not saying that context because oftentimes we get caught up, like, for example, when you stopped the show earlier, I sat back and thought to myself, that's the problem, male chauvinism. When you look at the stories of man being wicked and the purposefully leaving out the woman, like, for example, I can ask you a question about what do you know biologically about the menstruation cycle for women and what's its biological benefits to you as a woman?
So you're trolling this show. Benny, is this the guy or not? Answer me real quick. Hi, Blunt Squad Radio. No, I'm not talking about Benny.
Other than shedding an egg, you neutralize your pH balance. You have a self-cleaning mechanism that men don't have.
Okay, now what are you talking about, sir? I don't know what we're going off into. What? We're staying on the Bible
I'm going on context. When you stopped the show and you said one at a time, right? There was nothing but males on the phone, all defending a male form of religion.
I'm surrounded by males every night of my life on here. I can handle twice this many.
Yeah, she don't know.
I'm not saying that's the issue. I'm gonna say this real slowly. I'm gonna use a different context.
Yeah, because I'm real stupid.
Of a woman,
being of a woman, right? Being a woman, right? Knowing that you make men, you have babies, you have you're just talking about you having a son and so forth, right? How do you feel with the doctrine and the religion that you're the originator of sin, that you're the cause, and that your punishment is child? How does that make you feel as a woman?
Sin is not because of me.
And if God was a woman, how many men would have a problem with that? I wouldn't.
Okay. All right. I think that is a question that bears ignoring. I mean, because God did not. It's not the women. It's not the woman.
I don't see bad behavior in women. I see man. 2013 still.
And shut up, because you're interrupting me and you are rude, sir. You are rude. You're cutting me off. You won't even let me talk. You make noises when I'm talking, and I don't. I do this. I go on complete silence because I'm not rude, but I will not be talked to that way. It's not the woman's fault. We went over that last week. See last week's show. All right. Now, moving on. Mr. Solution, you're always unmuted because you know how to keep yourself quiet. Moving on from number 6, number 5 says the Lord saw that everything sucked, so he blew it away, blah, blah, blah. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord, and this is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time. Guys, right now on this platform, there are good men and bad men. God sees right through you. So do I. No, I'm joking. I mean, there are good men and there are bad men. God knew good from bad. There wasn't all that many men here. So he said, okay, and he told him. And I'm going to prove something to y'all tonight that's going to blow your mind. Y'all are going to go, oh, shit. Yes, I have something huge. It's a surprise for Mr. Solution. So the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all this. Okay? Make yourself a boat of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. And then he says it's to be this times this. And I think nowadays it's like 3 football fields long or something like that. It's huge. It's enormous. It's sitting over there on Mount Ararat. And then he says, I will establish, then I'm going to start the rains, but I'm going to establish a covenant with you. You enter the ark, take all of your children and your wife, and get your daughter-in-laws, all them, and get 2 of every kind of animal that you can get your hands on, and the birds too. Take food and store it away for them. So he did that, and that's where we are right now. So let's go to the next verse, the next chapter, and see what happens over there. Okay, everybody, hang on. Here we go.
Genesis 7. The Lord then said to Noah, go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made. And Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came on the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, of birds, and of all creatures that moved along the ground, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark, as God had commanded Noah. And after the 7 days, the flood waters came on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, on that day, all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were open, and rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On that very day, Noah and his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, together with his wife, and the wives of his 3 sons, entered the ark. They had with them every wild animal according to its kind, all livestock according to their kinds, every creature that moves along the ground according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind, everything with wings. Pairs of all creatures that have the breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. The animals going in were male and female of every living thing as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord shut him in. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. They rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 15 cubits. Every living thing that moved on land perished, birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swarm over the earth, and all mankind. Everything on dry land that had the breath of life in its nostrils died. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out, people and animals, and the creatures that move along the ground, and the birds were wiped from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those with him in the ark. The waters flooded the earth for 150 days.
Wait a minute. I thought you said 40 days and 40 nights. Oh, the waters covered the earth for 150 days. So that's what, about 6 months, sir? A little bit under 6 months, right?
Right. 180 or 6 months.
Okay.
The thing is that we see very clearly that God was serious about what he said. And what we have here is the account, the record of what happened, and this is supposed to happen again. These people, not with water though, this time with fire, people had an opportunity to seek salvation. But we note that only the animals had sense enough to obey God. At least we see that they came and they got on the ark, along with Noah and his family. I think understanding this properly is to, for one, and I see some of the problems with some of the positions that's being stated, and that is, number one, what the book is saying, and no one has to agree with this if they don't want to. Remember, these people who were drowned didn't agree with Noah. They didn't agree with God. So no one is saying you have to agree with what's being said. But what I think is important that you understand what's being said. And so what I hear a lot of is not clearly placed questions. I hear questions wrapped into questions that really don't deal with the text that we're dealing with here. If one disagrees with the text and they're not interested in anything it says, obviously, they're not going to get anything out of this because they won't allow themselves. But this is the epic story of what happened to our forefathers. And we see that all human beings came from this one pair of individuals, and obviously, and human beings can trace their origin, every one of them, back to that single set of individuals. Obviously, there have been offshoots where people have gone into different areas, but if you trace that back, and they have genealogical records now that help people do that, and you'll notice how you are connected to other people. That's just the way it works. And but we have here God, obviously chapter 7, God is really ticked off at human beings' mistreatment of each other. That's who they're mistreating. And, he had this ark constructed, which was a huge, it took 120 years, Debbie, to complete this ark. And so the people had, fair warning of what was coming. And of course, they chose not to listen. And But again, I like this story because it's a story of what I'm going to say fact. It's a story that can be verified, and for those who care to do it. And I think there's going to be a repetitive cycle here. Obviously, and I heard it mentioned earlier, but anyway, these people were actually violent. They were killing each other. What mostly happens on Blog Talk is, obviously, we can be discourteous, but we're not nearly at the level. Our society, regardless of the violence that occurs in our society, it doesn't come close to what these people were committing. They were just out of control completely. And God put them in control. He had to execute them. That's what this is. God executed them for being murderous and a whole array of other things. But that one topped the charts, murder.
Okay.
And
Can
so
I ask you a question? Wait, I got my brother on the line. Mark, you on there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Did you hear what the brother was saying?
Yes.
All right. So, say what you got to say or ask what you was going to say, because I know you wanted to say.
Am I unmuted also?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Do what you got to do. He hears you.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, you are, sir.
My question to all that, is that once again, I go back to what God was telling us when He said, "Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal," all these things, right? I say, why would God would say that to us, and then Himself go kill and murder a whole generation or animals that He created? Because according to what I've read, they say He's a perfect God, which He is, right? So how can somebody that's perfect then go make a mistake to have to destroy it to redo it again? It makes no sense to me. Sorry, I'm just saying. Now, do I believe in God? Yes, not the way it is being told, the stories that are being told, because I feel like they're making God seem very low or hypocritical, or a person that's not in the right state of mind to do something like that. If He's perfect, He will create it perfectly, and I think He did create the planet perfectly. I think the problem is the human beings on the planet.
Wait a minute. Are you asking a question, sir?
He's not asking a question. He's saying his interpretation of
what
God is.
You're telling me what I've read in the Bible.
I thought he was asking a question.
God said thou shalt not kill, right? So why would He go kill a whole society?
Okay, now do you want an answer to that? I thought you were asking a question. Would you like an answer to that, or is that just part of your statement?
It's a question and a statement. Put it that way. But give me an answer to that. I would like an answer.
The answer is, Debbie. We can do tag team here. You may want to read to him chapter 6, verse 11. Remember, this is an indictment before God carries out the execution of the guilty party. He reads the indictment. So this wasn't done haphazardly. It was 120 years, before the execution of the indictment. Debbie, are you there?
I'm right here.
Okay, I wanted you,
if you would, reading that,
read chapter 6, verse 11, because the gentleman didn't understand why God did what He did.
No, but listen, before you get into that, listen, I just wanted to ask you this.
Sir, we don't interrupt on this show. Now, he was very patient while you talked, and you need to give him the same courtesy, please. Okay? If not, it turns into a clusterfuck. Okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Now, we already went over, I'll have to go back in chapter 7, verse 6, and it says, no, excuse me.
No, it's chapter 6, verse 11 and 12.
Chapter 6, verse 11 and 12 states, "Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all the people, for the earth is full of violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. Make yourself an ark and prepare to get out of here."
Can I ask a question on that real quick, please? If he's so perfect, why would he have to do that? Why would we have to create something and then destroy it?
They were being ugly. They were fighting. They were full of evil. They were having wild sex, probably with animals.
Okay, but he created the beings. God is the person who created us.
He also gave us free will. We weren't robots.
You're right on that. Listen, my question to you, because you got two people here. Listen.
Why would the free will?
No. What I wanted to ask you is everything that you're going by, and this is no disrespect, and it might not be something that you agree with. Everything that you're reading, yeah, we can hear you. I just want to say this. Everything that you're reading, and there's no disrespect to anybody, is from a book that some man wrote. That's all I want to say. And then from there you can go.
Well, if you have got another, hang on, I'm talking. If you have got another thing that we can read, do you have something else from God?
You know what it is? I'm living for now, baby. So the thing is that you can read history. I live life according to
Well, baby, okay, listen to me, baby. I'm reading from a history, a very sacred piece of literature, sir, that has been put in every hotel room from coast to coast. It's not. You don't find.
Who put it there, ma'am?
You're interrupting.
Who put it there? Man
what
put
did
it
you
there.
say?
Who put it there?
It doesn't matter. I mean, there's not. What is your point?
What even the evil of destruction on the planet? He's the one putting these things there. I mean, how can it make sense?
What doesn't make sense?
What I'm talking about. Like I said, I look at, like I said, I believe in God, but I look at it in a different way.
Okay,
Well, here's what happened.
People on the planet,
God,
animals, I think people are doing it themselves. I don't think God is that cool.
Well, you're wrong.
Well, I would like to ask questions, guys.
God is cool. That's your God, not my God.
Okay, but listen. Listen, listen, we understand each other's point of view, right, but I would like Debbie and Mr. Solution, they're reading, and to me, personally, I would just like to ask some questions in dialogue. That's all. Ask them up. I mean, if you guys wouldn't mind. I hear echo in the background.
Yeah, somebody got to shut off their computer.
Yeah, we got a feedback. And there is a version on BibleGateway.com that's called the Easy to Read version, and it says, "The Lord saw that the people on earth were very evil. He saw that they thought only about evil things all the time. The Lord was sorry that he had made people on the earth, and it made him very sad in his heart." Now, I understand that these are not perhaps the words of my Creator. Somebody wrote this down. Somebody thought in their mind, stop, you're interrupting me. Somebody thought in their mind, this is what had to have happened, because perhaps they might have been not there at the time, but they are assuming this is what God did. This is all I have to go off, sir. I don't go off of Reader's Digest to find out what went on back in the days of Noah.
No, but see, well, Mr. Solution just said that this is a historical fact. So as a student, and he's a teacher because he's reading the Bible and the text, and he's telling us what this means. And as a student, I would just like to ask some questions. That's all.
I thought I was talking to the other guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know you, Michael.
Okay. Okay.
No,
I'll wait. I'm myself.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah,
the other guy's still there. Okay, yeah, y'all too. Is there another thing? Is there another piece of literature that you go off of, perhaps, where there's another account or something? And I understand that this was even written.
I have one.
I read. I mean,
I have one,
from my understanding, I read Hermetic philosophy. I go back and the scriptures about what was written from way back then. So I'm reading according to those books as well. And in those scriptures, they explain that the infinite living mind, the all in all, which is God, he won't take away, separate anything because he's perfect. He's that perfect. He won't take away anything, so he won't destroy anything.
Sir, listen to me. I want you to, hold on one second. One second. Whoa. Let's pretend for a second that you and I have a child, and he's perfect. He looks like Denzel Washington with blonde hair and blue eyes. He's gorgeous, okay? He's perfect.
Ooh.
He is the sweetest thing. He's the sweetest thing in the world, and suddenly, when he turns about 4 years old, he becomes hell on wheels. And I look at you one night and I'd say, I'd give my right arm if we had never had sex that night, or if I would have swallowed. No, but I'm saying it's possible, sir, that the Lord looked at his creation just like a mother and a father, which I've never done, but I'm sure that there's times I thought, what the hell did I do? And said, they went berserk. We don't have any. He gave them a mind of their own. They're not robots. And he's not saying that he made a mistake. He's saying that the precious thing that he made has gone bananas.
Right, but ma'am, the way it's being interpreted is like make a mistake and he regretted what he did. He decided to eliminate it and then start it all over again. So
but baby, what else? What other way could you look at it? What other way could you look at it?
I can't think about him being that way, and I don't think he's that way at all.
Listen to me. Stop. The Bible states, when you hear the thunder and see the lightning, know my wrath. I'm scared to death of God. Now Jesus was a marshmallow. He was a buttercup. He was all that good is and good will ever be. I aspire to be Christ-like. But God, you better believe he can slam his fist down and make some stuff rattle. You better believe he can get mad, real mad. He'll shake his heart. I want to know, am I making sense to you?
My God will give me light to see.
Yeah.
No, hold on, Michael. Don't interrupt. Do you not see the point I'm making, baby?
No, I understand what you're saying, but listen, I feel that what you're telling me is in a human way. And they react that way to things. Not
well,
God.
I'm sorry, I'm not God.
That's not human.
Sir, you're missing the point. He created humans. They went nuts. They went wrong, just like a child. Our child, when he went off to daycare, he went nuts and became evil, started killing animals and hitting kids.
Kill him?
No, because I'm not God. Well, I'm sorry. You don't want to believe that God killed everybody on the earth, but he did.
No, I don't think so.
Well, then
I
who did?
want to say, you keep saying he. I just wanted to say this, Debbie. Don't you say he is a she?
I see it as
neither
sex.
Like he's a human.
No, God is not even to be. I don't even presume to know what God is. God said, I am that I am.
Yeah, so why you say he? Is that the only way you can interpret him, or is it because you think it's...
Because we've always said that. You say he. He is... Mr. Solution, what are those words you say? He is omnipresent.
Everything.
Yeah, we know God is not human. God is above human beings.
Okay.
But look here, what I would encourage these guys, anyone else who really wants to understand, go to courts are public settings, and you can go to a criminal, particularly a criminal court, even a civil court. Wait a minute. Yes, we get into that. And watch the judge. The presumption of all human beings is that they are responsible unless they are deemed insane or unfit mentally. So what you have to understand, and it says it right there in the 6 verse 12, and I'll read it because it said they corrupted their way. My computer is locked me out a moment, Debbie. Read our 6:12, Debbie, if you don't mind.
Not a problem. We've got somebody dropping some real docs in the chat room, and I don't play that way. So y'all just got yourselves all put on chat room lockdown for a minute. Read 6, sir. Is that what you said?
Yeah, chapter 6, verse 12.
Chapter 6, verse 12 says, I'm in the easy-to-read version. When God looked at the earth, he saw that people had ruined it. Violence was everywhere, and it had ruined their life on earth. So God said to Noah,
Is that the NIV?
No, I just told you I'm in the easy-to-read version just because I was
okay,
trying to help.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm going to get back to the NIV.
I am too. I'm there.
Yeah.
And God looked upon the earth.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
The earth was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth.
Okay, now that's out of the King James. But the word here and there are the same here. Because what is being done is responsibility is assigned to the traders. And I'm going to read out of the NIV. It may be a little bit clearer. This is Genesis chapter 6, verse 12. God saw how corrupt earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So what that is saying with great specificity is they bore personal responsibility for the actions that they had taken. And the most corrupt act that they committed, Debbie, was murder. They were murdering each other. They were violent toward each other. They were disfiguring the image of God in each other, if you please. And so what happens here, a lot of these people, obviously, they're not sticking to the text itself and first seeing what it has to say. It's okay for them to say whatever they have to say. We invite that. But we also encourage you under the rubric of fairness and open and honest impartiality is to see what the text is saying. We're studying the text.
Well, I understand that, and I want to ask my question. I understand that, Mr. Solution. I understand. You're going.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
And because I've been trying to dialogue all with you. I'm not, because people can understand their points of view, but asking questions is not bad too, because we get understanding that way. And where you're conveying to me is saying, get the moral of the story. And I say, okay, but don't say it's fact. You say it's fact with the documents, but then you say, well, and then we have the problem because we can see the contradictions. Because we say that God has this quote-unquote God, that you say this is God, has a mind that created something. Does that mind forecast? Then we say, well, people chose to murder and kill. Now, I say, well, I ask you a question. All of this chaos, because I've talked to Bible Benny, and we've talked about flesh or born of the flesh, where these people, quote-unquote, born of the flesh and not have the same spirit that Noah had, and they were not connected with God. Because my question is that...
Sorry, would you repeat your question? I'm really trying to get your question.
Okay, my question is, the people that God destroyed, were they connected to God in any way whatsoever?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. They were connected to God in the sense that they were responsible to God. God is the creator, and God is the landlord. They were living on God's land, breathing God's air, and they were ultimately responsible to God for their actions. Does that answer your question?
No. I'm saying,
were they
connected? Were they connected to the people that they can get on that boat and got destroyed?
I just said yes. I answered yes.
And I'm saying, in what way?
I just told. Okay, I'll repeat it. They were connected to God in that God was their creator, and God was their landlord.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm gonna ask yourself. So that's meaning that they're not separate from Him, correct? Or that God. They were never separate from their Creator, correct?
Well, they were separate in that they were separate entities that had a free will.
No.
Just like you and me right now.
Right, but they were always connected because nothing can never
define
be separate
connected.
from that.
Okay, we're missing that word. What do you mean by connected?
If I create something, I'm always connected to something I create. I'm responsible for what I create. That's a fact. You never can separate me from what I create. You never can do it. That's a fact.
Okay, fine. I'm with you so far. Go ahead.
Right. So they were always connected to God.
Now, I'm going to give you the meaning of connected. Let's talk about responsibility. They were responsible to God. Are we still connected?
Can I bring up another topic? I was speaking about, have you ever heard the quote, and this goes on about what you were saying, about in people's man's ways, about the flesh and the spirit. Born of the flesh, you're of the flesh, and born of the spirit is of the spirit. Is right. That because some people now is that similar to what you're saying?
Well, what you have to do is look at that in the context. The definition of a word.
Those people connected to them in the spirit.
Okay, now you keep saying connected. Yes, they were connected to God. That is why God could take actions against their inappropriate behavior. They were very connected to God. When you understand properly what connected means, connected also means responsible.
It only means one thing. No. Let's not. See, that's why we can confuse. Let's say connected means. Let's say what all of us on this phone mean what connected means. That means not separate. That means what connected means.
No. You're wrong about that. Not separate means.
No half connecting nothing.
Okay, this is the point which you may have to do.
Something is attached. That's connected means attached.
But see, what you're going to do, Michael, is you're going to lead to an irreconcilable conclusion. See, what you ultimately want to say is, tell me if I'm correct.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm just asking questions.
So allow me to finish.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm correct. What you're ultimately going to say under the rubric of your definition of connected, that God should not have punished them. Is that correct?
I never said that.
No, I'm asking you a question.
No, I'm never saying that because I want to still ask you questions. Listen, when I'm asking you questions, I'm not coming with my conclusion. I'm asking you questions.
Go ahead.
Right, so let's go back again. You coming on, and I say, I want to talk to Debbie and the whole world. It's clear with something when you say something is connected, there's no half connected. It's whole. It's connected to it.
But Michael, you're bogarting the show. You're bogarting the show. It's turning into your.
But I'll listen. No.
Okay.
I'll be quiet.
All right. Okay. I won't mute you. Okay. Now, where are we, sir? Let's move on to the next thing. I think we beat this dead horse, or whatever.
I wouldn't disagree with that. Look, we were at. Oh, my doggone it. Okay. I think we had concluded with Chapter 7, and we're at 10:30 right now.
Why don't we go ahead and let the number 8 read, and that way we can go ahead and get all familiar with it and pick it up here next time. You really need to think about doing these more than once a week, Mr. Solution, Mr. Busy Man, Mr. Bike Rider. I need you more than this. I started to do one the other night on Wednesday night without you, and I thought, there's no way. There's no.
Well, it's. Let me just say this. It's very good, but there has to be foundation. Now, when we understand from Michael what his definition of connected means, see, with a lot of people, it's their definitions, both denotative and also in context. It's very important to get both of those correct. And where I thought he was going is to say, well, God can't punish them because they are him, or they are the same as he is since they are connected. And that would be like saying your children are you, so you can't punish your children. You don't have the authority to punish them or correct them. And, of course, that is an erroneous conclusion.
I got a hold of that little one today, and he's blood of my blood. I think, you little bastard, you won't talk to me that way. I'm joking.
Well, hopefully you didn't call him that. But no, kids have to be given guidance. Now, you know, and what
but
we
the
need.
quote-unquote God doesn't think like me. So you're still trying to give him, and when you give him that analogy, you can't do that because that's not him around. But
Wait a minute, I didn't get that. Say that again.
God does not have a problem, Michael, with us talking about him. He's do what?
What did he say, Debbie? I didn't quite catch that.
Well, I was listening to you until he brought me back up. I was listening to you, Debbie, until you brought me back up.
I didn't. Mr. Solution did, but I'm just saying that it's not wrong for us to presume, sir, what God was thinking at the time. It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
Okay. I think I got it.
Hold on. Okay, right. So you're
what's happening is people who want to tell you can't, and notice this very carefully. People who want to say, well, you can't say that about God. They are saying something about God. And see, that's what they're not looking at. They become God in the sense where they're controlling all the information. Let's have
that's true. Well, let me ask you a question, Mr. Solution, right? I heard you say that God has no beginning and no ending. It's like it can't be created, right?
Yeah, and the word for that is aseity.
Right. Okay, no, right. So
A-S-E-I-T-Y. You can look that word up, but go ahead.
So I'm going to ask you a question, right? You made that statement that it has no beginning and no ending. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. How can you describe which has no beginning and no ending?
Oh, that's easy, Michael. Now, is that your question?
Okay, right. That's
your question?
Yes.
You put a period behind that?
Yes. No,
okay, there you go. Well, because, and you're right in a sense, Michael. You bring up some good points. But what you have to understand is God is what you call preternatural. We're natural. God is supernatural. God has to reveal to us how God is thinking. And that's why we're going over the record that claims, notice what I said, that claims to be the actual Word of God. Now, some people, including myself, believe that it is, from a moral standpoint, from an intellectual standpoint, so on and so forth. But that is necessarily what God has to do, just like you have to do to your children. You have to inculcate them. You have to reveal to them certain truths that they would either never come by or it would take them an awful long time to come by. It would be very difficult.
Right, give them the facts. Give them the facts, right.
Yeah, and that's exactly what God does. And that's why we're studying this book, because this book has been singled out, and I think Debbie said it clearly earlier. This is an epic literary book. I actually studied the Bible in college, but they dealt with it from a literature standpoint. But it's also a history book, and it has tremendous benefits. So the answer to your question is a being that has no end and no beginning, which I can't fathom, understand. However, God can reveal certain things to his created intelligence's intellect. And that's exactly what we're doing right here.
But but see, Mr. Solution, you as a smart man, listen to what you say. First of all, you spoke facts. And then you went into another round. What you said you can't fathom, meaning that if you even label something, when man labels something, what does it do? It has a description and he controls it. I guarantee everything that we label. But you said it can't be fathomed. What can't be fathomed can't be labeled.
No. Okay, Michael, you're twisting my words. What I said is... What I said is I can't...
What has no beginning, no end, it can't be fathomed. But then you went to another round. Then you spoke theory.
However, I did say this. And you're doing the same thing. You're just not...
Why can't you stay there? No, why can't you speak fact?
Okay, you keep interrupting me. As a talk show host, would you allow me to utter a complete statement? Okay. What I said to you, I used the term revelation. God, being an infinite being, has to reveal things to his created intelligences, his sentient beings. And that's why we're studying this book right now. We're not just doing this randomly. We're doing this purposefully. Right. Do you understand?
Right. And I said before I spoke to you, and I'll say again, and I even spoke on my show, that I said the Bible is about how human beings treat each other. But when you say that it's a historical fact, and then you're trying to tell us the truth, then I say, hold up, it's confusing. That's the problem. I say, listen, yes, if you're going to say, listen, it's teaching us the lesson, we shouldn't kill, we didn't do that, blah, blah, blah. But to say it's a historical fact, say someone lived 600 years, say this and that, come on. That's where it gets mixed up, and then you start controlling. That's all I'm saying. That's what I was asking you, and you that question. And I guess I'll go ahead and be quiet. But you prove my point when you say you can't even fathom it. Now that's all I want to say.
Well, that's interesting from Michael. At any rate, Debbie, I think you were going to proceed with Chapter 8.
Yes, I am.
Okay, please proceed.
Is that what everybody wants to do? I'm ready to go. We are being streamed over, I don't know how many networks. Somebody over my Spreaker chat room said, Debbie, can I stream you over the Gorilla Network and Bolts FM? Great. So we're coming out. I don't know how many people are listening right now. So shouts out to everybody out there listening on the Gorilla Network Radio Network and Bolts FM. That's a badass name. All right. Let's go to Genesis. Is it 8, sir, or 7? It's 8, right?
8.
All right. 8. 6 times 8. Don't be late. We're leaving out of gate number 48. All right. Number 8. This has been quite a ride tonight. I love Michael, but Michael can talk some talk. All right. Let's go with verse number 8. Chapter 8. Quiet on set, please.
Genesis 8. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark. And he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded. Now the springs of the deep and the floodgates of the heavens had been closed, and the rain had stopped falling from the sky. The water receded steadily from the earth. At the end of the 150 days the water had gone down. And on the 17th day of the 7th month the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. The waters continued to recede until the 10th month, and on the first day of the 10th month the tops of the mountains became visible. After 40 days Noah opened a window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. But the dove could find nowhere to perch because there was water over all the surface of the earth. So it returned to Noah in the ark. He reached out his hand and took the dove and brought it back to himself in the ark. He waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again, but this time it did not return to him. By the first day of the 1st month of Noah's 601st year, the water had dried up from the earth. Noah then removed the covering from the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. By the 27th day of the 2nd month, the earth was completely dry. Then God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it." So Noah came out, together with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives, all the animals and all the creatures that move along the ground, and all the birds, Everything that moves on land came out of the ark, one kind after another. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and taking some of all the clean animals and clean birds, he sacrificed burnt offerings on it. The Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, "Never again will I curse the ground because of humans, even though every inclination of the human heart is evil from childhood. And never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease."
Yep, tremendous account there. And one of the things, and we'll definitely get into this more next time, is they give the source for the water that deluged the earth. And we talked about this last time, and I think there's a documentary on the Army Corps of Engineers. Can you hear me, Debbie?
Yes. Yes, we
yes.
can.
Where they document the water actually having come up from fissures in the earth. But also, you recall that water that was suspended above the earth at creation was unleashed. And it says here in verse 2, now of chapter 8, now the springs of the deep and the floodgates of the heavens, that's the one, had been closed, and then the rain had stopped falling from the sky. But and the water receded. Now the springs of the deep, and that was mainly it. That suspended body of water, what we often say gave the canopy effect, and was partly responsible for the great longevity of the antediluvians. For them living hundreds of years, because it blotted out all the harmful radiation of the sun, presumably. But that was part of the water that actually, flooded the earth. And I just think that's a very, very important aspect. Although, there's water in air. When you condense air, obviously you can get water from that. But this was actual water, recall in the, I think it's Genesis chapter 3, roughly there or about, that was actually suspended above the earth. And so at any rate, that's tremendous what happened. And that's the great account. I think virtually all nations, cultures, we see at the Tower of Babel, they knew that this happened. And I think if you look at the Babylonian and various other cultures, they do have an account of a worldwide flood. Those are just some, accompanying comments that I have.
Very good. Very, very good. So, everybody is unmuted, I think. Does everybody want to go out of this with questions? Everybody? You've got 4 people unmuted besides Mr. Solution and I. Does anybody else have any more questions? I will bow out and listen.
I want to know who recorded this, the vocal. Who was the person that was behind it?
The Book of Genesis, you mean?
No, the person that narrated this.
Well, this is okay. This is Moses is the author of the Pentateuch, which are the first 5 books of the Old Testament: Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. So Moses is the author, and he's actually quoting, God. He's quoting Noah. He's quoting the various characters that make up the account. So Moses is the author. Did that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, but I think he want to ask you a question. I'm sorry.
Why is it that...
I can barely hear you. Would you speak up a little bit, please?
Excuse me?
Yeah, just speak up a wee bit. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please proceed.
I want to know. My question to that is like, okay, my understanding is that God had communication with a lot of human beings on the planet, and nowadays it don't seem that way. You know, why isn't it that we're getting anything that's going to tell us or let us know? You know, right now we're going by the book, but there's nothing the way it used to be back then.
That's a very good question. I like that. Debbie, can you look up Hebrews chapter 1 and I think verse 1? And I'm going to, Debbie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1. Read that to us, please.
Okay.
Not a problem. Let me get there,
Thank you.
okay? I was doing one thing before. Okay, let me go right. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1, correct?
Correct.
All right. Hebrews 1. And it says, well, Debbie, why don't you spell with an S on the end, you mullet? Okay. All right, it says, God's final word. In the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets and at many times in various ways. But in the last days, he spoke to us through his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, and through whom also he made the universe.
All right, thanks, Debbie. Did you pick up on the reason, and I'll go into a little bit more explanation, but did you hear the explanation? You may want to read it once more, Debbie.
In the past, we're supposed to be, I was in a Bible study once, and they taught us that we were in the grace period right now, which is when he gets real quiet for several thousand years. In the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets at many times and in various ways. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, and through whom he made the universe.
Okay, did you, what he's saying is there have been developments, and you know, with the coming of Christ, who laid claim to, and who gave evidence of being God in the flesh, God has given us a record, and He's given us a record that many people are dogmatically presenting. We are presenting part of that record here. And to answer your question is that all of those forms were what they call in biblical terminology shadows, Christ being the substance. Now, we have a recent book, it's roughly 2,000 years old, which is fairly recent in human history, but we have a complete account of Christ having come as the Redeemer. And so, as it says there in Hebrews, God has chosen to speak through that particular methodology, through the person of Christ, more specifically through the writings, the historical record of Christ. Does that make sense? Do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you're telling me, right? But I mean...
Right, and the vast majority, if I might say, the vast majority of all of those teachings and dealings that God had with people previously, prior to Christ's coming, they are recorded in that book also. So you have a complete record, actually. Okay?
Right.
Okay, very good. That's a good question, by the way. Excellent question.
Okay, thank you.
More? Oh, come on. There's got to be other questions.
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you explain Jeremiah 19:5 in relation to monologue?
I don't have that before me. You want to go ahead and read it? Tell me what you're getting at.
They're building high places to
a vow to burn the children as offerings to the god of child sacrifice. And I said that in relation to one of the prophets in the Bible who was, going to sacrifice his own son. And my question is, what was he sacrificing? Was he going to sacrifice his son to Moloch or to Jehovah?
I think that's Moloch. Okay. Yeah. The thing is that the sacrifice, and maybe you're talking about Isaac and Abraham, where.
Right.
Okay, but remember that didn't go through. Okay. And now God did ask Abraham to do that, but when it came right up to it, and Abraham saw it, we see it, everybody. Abraham was willing to do it, to sacrifice his son upon God's command. However, he didn't do it, but it was sufficient to prove that Abraham was faithful, and that's why he's called the father of faith. Now, other people who did this to heathen deities, that was wrong. That was patently and utterly wrong for them to sacrifice human beings to their pagan gods.
Right. Galatians 4:24. Can you put that in the context?
I don't. You have to read that. I don't have that before me. What does it say?
Speaking on the two covenants as being an allegory.
Yeah. Why don't you read the passage to me? I think you gave me the interpretation. Read the passage, and then I'll see if I can help you with that.
Yes, sir. Give me one moment. Okay. It says, these things are being taken figuratively. The woman represents two covenants. One covenant is the mountain of Sinai and bears children who are to be slaves. This is Hagar, in which both of these are to be alleged as being an allegory.
Okay, for some reason I'm not. Is this about Jacob and Esau? Who are the two? Okay, what I would encourage you to do you have a pen handy?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you do this? Go to Matthew Henry's commentary. It's on the internet, and it's there for your perusal. Go to Matthew Henry's commentary. It's considered an exhaustive commentary. It's the creme de la creme. They use that in seminaries today. And just look up the particular chapter and verse, and then see what positions Matthew Henry takes on that. I think he will give you some pretty good information. Okay.
Okay. My last question is Psalms 84:11.
You're going to have to read.
For the Lord God is a sun and a shield, and I think this context dealing with the Son of God as being actually the sun itself, because how many months are in the year?
How many months? Oh, come on. There are 12.
How many disciples did Jesus have?
Wait a minute. Before you go on, let me just address the question. Okay, sun, S-U-N, and S-O-N. You understand those are completely...
It's spelled S-U-N and it's capitalized.
Okay, S-U-N, if it's referring to the physical sun that the S-O-N actually created. Because remember, Christ, if you're talking about, and I don't think that those should be confused. You're attempting to see those as one and the same, are you?
Basically, being Christ being an anthropomorphic definition of the sun, yes.
That's anthropomorphic.
Right.
No. Oh, that's okay. Look, no. Christ is not anthropomorphic per se. That's a term that's used to presenting God in human terms. Christ actually took on human flesh and became a man. I use the term sometimes, Christ was a true extraterrestrial. He himself said that I'm not of this earth. That meaning that his origin, of is the preposition that deals with origin. He's saying that my origin is not of this earth. And if you go to John 1:1 and following verses, Christ actually claimed to be God, utter God, and he claimed to be the creator of all things. So that person you see in Genesis that's doing that creating, Christ lays claim to that. Okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure.
I have a question.
Yes, fire away.
Yes. I had another question about that God created good and bad, the evil and...
That's a very good question. First of all, God points out, was that all of your question? And the question
create
is...
both. He create evil and good.
Okay, right. And you're asking, is God the author of both evil and good?
Is he the creator?
Okay, the creator, author, I'm using those synonymously. Let's say this. God, they talk about ordination, which means that God, nothing can exist except God allows it. Let's be perfectly clear about that. Nothing can exist unless God allows it or ordains it, if you please. Now, sin, as understood in particularly Christian theology, is a act of disobedience by creatures, not by God. God, by definition, can't sin. But his creatures are, by missing the mark and disobeying God, of course, are capable of sin and do, in fact, engage in sin, which is a...
Can I ask you a question on that, sir? Can I ask you a quick question on that? The reason why I ask is because it do say in the Bible that God created everything.
Well, where does it say that?
In the beginning. When he created everything, he created all.
Okay. Well, in definitions, it's very important to understand the context. See, because look at it this way, and this is just so one won't get confused. If you have God as the creator of evil, then, of course, there's no refuge. There's no escaping evil. But God tells, what do you hear God constantly saying? Don't do evil. Listen to me. Avoid evil. What happened in Genesis with our first parents? They were instructed what not to do. Don't eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And if you do, you will surely die as a punishment for disobeying me. So if we look in the scriptures and just are, a little bit careful, we see God constantly warning his created intelligences to not break his law, that is, doing evil. Would you agree?
I mean, it's hard for me to understand what you're telling me because, he's the creator of all, is my understanding, right? But then is it fair to say that
all right,
most of the things that are happening on the planet and most of the things that happen in life, he has no control of?
Hold on a minute. You're using the language improperly. Now, I just caution you that when God talks about creating all things, you have to understand the context. There's always a context to the text. Okay. And you're taking it out of context. You're taking all out of context. God says specifically, he can't even look up on evil. He does not do evil. Period.
So, who created evil?
Okay, now you're on better ground. Evil is the result of inappropriate actions of created intelligences. I'll repeat that. Evil is the result of disobedience of created intelligences. So evil gets its origin not with God, but with the creatures that God created. Do you follow me? Let me give you a more relevant example. You as a parent, say you own a vehicle and your son or daughter wants to drive it. You can do whatever you want to do with that vehicle. Why? Because it's yours. And obviously any analogy breaks down, but I'm just trying to make this practical. If you tell your son or daughter you can't drive the car, now they can create evil by violating their parents' clearly stated desires. Whereas you can drive your car anytime you want. So the rule doesn't apply to you, correct?
I understand that, but once again, I cannot. Like I said it before, I can't put myself and how can I say put myself and my son the way that God is working with us, because once again, if I tell my son not to kill and I feel like I need to kill a whole generation or whomever because I feel that way, then I'm not right? Then it's the same way. How can I put myself in that category as with my son in the same way as God, but then there are certain things that I can't do that way because he's a God?
Well, okay. What happened is, and I gave a disclaimer. No human analogy is going to totally approach that of the Creator. But what I did do is I gave you a good example of where law is established and how violations of that law may occur. Okay, that's what I was really sharing with you. But if you take an a priori position about God, and you're immovable in that position, well, then obviously nothing anyone says to you will change that. And if you feel that you're a finished product in this particular area, then you become, in essence, a juggernaut. You become, there's no way to convince you of other than that which you have already convinced yourself.
I guess we close out on that. Thank you for the information, brother, because I know the time is short. You definitely dropped some stuff. We don't have to agree on everything, but at least you give us something, some information out there.
Appreciate it.
People just gotta do their own research and find out for themselves. That's all. But it's a great thing.
That's what it's all about.